All right, good morning, students, and welcome to Classics 160 D2 Classical Mythology. I am your professor, Dr. Rob Steffen, and today I am finally going to tell you a little bit about what's actually happening in this course and how you can all succeed in it. So just to give you guys a sense today of how the Zoom's going to work, I've still been tinkering around with this thing. Instead of sharing my screen, I'm just going to kind of put the slides behind me here. So go ahead and toggle it to speaker view rather than gallery view. And if you go up to the upper right-hand corner of your Zoom up here, you should be able to do that toggling. And that way, when I'm speaking, my slide should be up there and you should be able to see the text and everything else as well. Right now, you guys are going to be muted. Normally, I would unmute you when we're having activities, and normally that would happen in these breakout rooms. We tried to do that on Monday to not much success, and I have investigated the source of this issue, and what my research has found is that we're only able to create 20 breakout rooms, but we have 500 people, which means we have 25 people per breakout room, which makes it kind of useless. So, my TAs and we are going to get the brain trust together. We're going to figure something out here. For the first, couple days, we may not do the breakout room thing. You guys will survive. The other issue that we had was with the chat. I had it go into the host only, and I thought that this would also go to the co-hosts, which are the TAs. But TAs, I don't think you guys were seeing any of this stuff, were you? Let's try to toggle this real quick, all right? Can you guys keep sending some messages? And I'm going to see if you guys can just send it to the host. So hang tight real quick. Let's see. Host only. All right, send some messages now, people. No? Anything?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay. You guys, okay, so co-hosts, you are seeing it?
I can't.
I can't.
Huh. Strange. Okay, well,
Wait, now I can. Wait, no.
are you guys getting I don't know, there have been 10 of them or something?
I'm getting them now. Yes, they're showing up.
Okay,
Yeah, same
cool.
over here.
Yeah.
All right, what do you guys think? You guys want to have it just go to the host? Should we have just the crazy chat going on with everybody sending to everybody? What do you students think? I'll put it on gallery view. You guys can give me nod of heads. Do you guys want the chat? Do you guys want to be able to chat with each other? Is that distracting? Just send it to the TAs. Okay, we're gonna keep it. All right, we'll think about doing the Twitch chat. Maybe we'll go to Twitch for Friday. We will see. Anyway, okay, back to speaker view. I'm keeping this on host only. TAs, if you can keep an eye out on the chats coming through, that'll be really useful on my end. Also, heads up, this will be recorded, and I am posting the recordings of these to D2L right after class. So sometime by the end of the day, it'll be on there. All right, let's go ahead and move forward with the actual class here. So, one other announcement before we get started. We have got a new TA here, Katie Walker, and what this does is it adjusts who your TA is a little bit. Katie, I'm going to bring you up. If you'd like to just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about where you did your undergrad. The other question was, what food do you like to eat at 1 in the morning? And then finally, your best word of wisdom for the students in this class here. So I'm going to unmute you, Katie.
Well, I'm Katie Walker. I did my undergrad here at the U of A. Let's see, favorite food to eat at 1 a.m. I don't know, I guess maybe hot cocoa. I don't usually eat that late. And then a word of wisdom, just like a single word.
No. Words of wisdom. Words of wisdom. We got about 2/3 of the students here are freshmen. So what do you wish you would have known going into to college 4 or 5 years ago?
I guess just remember that like your professors and your TAs are there to help you. So if you have questions about anything at all for the courses, if you're feeling stressed about it, just reach out to us and we'll help you out. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, totally agree. Thank you, Katie. Yeah, we are here for you. And again, to kind of reiterate the communication, if you have anything to say about like nachos or anything, email me directly. If you're interested in the classics major or minor or talking more about other classics courses, email me directly. If you have specific questions about assignments or class or anything like that, start by emailing your specific TA. And it should say, Colin, you should be A to C right now. That's a mistake on the PowerPoint. But if your last name matches up with one of those TAs, whoever that is, email them first, and they'll get back to you or they'll get in touch with me, and that helps the information flow very smoothly here. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the actual course. What we've got today, we're going to start by talking a little bit about course goals, and then the overall plan for the semester and how that works. And then we'll talk a little bit about the assignments themselves and how those assignments kind of match up with the goals of the course and match up with grades. I know you guys are very, very interested in that part of it especially. And then we'll talk a little bit about how the course is actually going to work. And if you'd like to follow along with any of this, you can also get onto to D2L. So it stands for Desire to Learn. It's the course management software that we use here at the U of A. And everything lives there. So you're going to want to be on that website very, very frequently. Check it at least a couple times a week. I'm going to be posting all the lectures there. You're going to find all your readings there. Everything's going to live there. All right. So course goals and the overall plan. Now, when you read through the syllabus, which again you can find on D2L, you're going to find some like fancy sounding learning outcomes, learning objectives. Somehow learning objectives are different than outcomes. I don't really know why that's the case, but it is. And you'll see things like you're going to learn to identify and define your own worldview and compare it to the worldview of other worldviews through written and oral communication and present and defend your worldview. I don't know. It kind of sounds fancy. Whatever. I want you to do 3 things. All right. There are really 3 things I want you to get out of this course. The first, learn a little bit about ancient Greece and Rome. The second, engage with complex texts that were produced by a different culture. And the third is develop a few useful skills that you can use in other classes here at the U of A and kind of beyond school and generally, right? Like once you get out into the real world. So to kind of put those in other terms, right? Learn some stuff about mythology, engage with tough texts, gain some useful skills. If you guys do those 3 things, if you get those 3 things out of the class, I'm considering this whole thing a roaring success. All right. So let's go ahead and look at how the course is going to match up to those things, right? So in terms of the kind of lecturing, that's where you're going to get the kind of stories associated with mythology, the facts about ancient Greece and Rome. The lectures that we have here, that's where you're kind of matching up with the first goal for the course. Then in terms of the useful skills that you're going to get that are going to be useful to you beyond this course, right, and other courses here at the U of A and beyond when you go into the real world, that's going to come out a lot of the research and the kind of semester-long project that you have. All right, so that's going to be very intentionally put together for you to develop skills that are going to be useful beyond just a mythology class. And then finally, in terms of engaging with tough texts, what we're going to be doing, instead of having a textbook for the class, all the readings that we're doing are going to be ancient texts, okay? And this is really cool. This is very cool stuff. Everything you read is going to be something that was written like 2,000 plus years ago. And what you're going to find is even if you have a background in mythology, right? When you start to kind of engage with the actual ancient texts, they're really tough, right? You may know a little bit about the birth of the gods, and then next week when you read Hesiod's Theogony, you're going to be like, what is going on here? But your ability to start to engage with those, to be able to understand a little bit about where they're coming from and how they're put together and why they're put together that way, that's going to be a skill that's useful beyond here when you do have to engage with text produced in different types of areas. Okay, so that's the general plan. And the way that that's going to map onto our actual classes, right? So lecturing is going to happen on Monday and Wednesdays. That's again where you're going to get the facts and the mythological stories. In terms of the skills and the research, that's going to happen partially on Wednesday, but in large part on Fridays as well. And then Fridays are also going to be used for talking about the primary source texts that you guys are going to be reading for the class. So that's kind of how it all works together, right? So the facts match up with the lectures, Monday and Wednesday. The skills and the texts, those are kind of matching up with the research and the primary sources, and that's going to happen partly on Wednesday, but in large part on the Friday classes. Okay, so Monday and Wednesday lectures, these are going to serve as the kind of primary areas for the content for the exams, right? So the reason you need to show up and listen to these lectures is because in large part, this is where the material is going to come from for the exams that you take throughout the semester. We're going to have 2 exams. I'll talk about those a little bit later. Again, yeah, the kind of readings are fair game on them, but really pay attention, take notes in the lectures. You're going to be able to use your notes on the exam. Yes, the glorious and beneficent Dr. Rob has allowed you to take open note exams. So again, show up to these lectures, take good notes while I'm talking here, and you're going to be really well prepared for those exams. Okay, so on Wednesdays, we're going to do a couple different things, all right? So we are going to both cover whatever we don't get to lecture-wise on Monday, and then we're going to also start working through the kind of research process. And I'm going to talk a little bit today, but in large part next week, about what the semester-long project is. And then what we're going to do is kind of work piecemeal through that throughout the semester. So rather than kind of doing everything at the last minute, right before the thing is due, the goal is going to be to work kind of slowly towards that, building up your skills so that by the end of the semester, you don't have a big thing at the end and you're going to be able to kind of have something that's really polished and really professional looking. And then Friday, right, we're also going to work on the projects on Friday, and this is also going to be the kind of time when we really dig into the primary sources, when we dig into those ancient texts. And you're going to find from step 1 again, right? Next week, you're going to be reading Hesiod's Theogony, the story of the origin of the ancient Greek gods. And what you're going to find out is it's super difficult to get through, right? Even if you know the basic story, you're going to be reading this and you're going to be like what is happening here? But these Friday classes, we're going to have the chance to kind of present a little bit about what is going on, and your TAs are going to lead you through what's up with those texts, and kind of how they're put together, why they're put together that way, and how you can extract the information you need out of those things. Okay, so let's see. All right, next up, assignments and grades. So what we've been looking at so far, right, is kind of the goals for the course, how the different components of the course match up with those goals, how those components match up with days of the week. And now we're going to be looking at how specific assignments match up with all of those things. So we've got 4 things that you guys are going to do in the course that end up getting graded. All right, you're going to take exams. There's going to be an attendance quiz. There's going to be the semester-long project, and then you're going to write a few responses to the readings each week, all right? And the way that that matches up with the goals of the course is that the exams and the attendance, those are going to match up with the lectures that you get on Monday and Wednesday. The project is going to match up with the kind of skills-based work that you're doing on Wednesdays and Fridays. And then the reading responses that you're writing are going to match up with the work that you're doing on Friday, really digging into those ancient sources. And this is how it breaks down, right? I was trying to think about how to actually do this. I think simple is good on this one. The way it works is that each of those 4 things is going to be a quarter of your grade. And the thinking behind this is like, all right, let's say that you suck at exams, right? Like you're a really diligent worker, but like for whatever reason, right? Exams are just the bane of your existence. Fine, you can you don't have to do that well on an exam. You can still get an A in the course, right? Let's say you're the other way around, right? Like that you're awesome at exams and you'll show up to class because you like the lectures or whatever, and you're just terrible at like turning things in on time. Look, work on it. We want you to improve there. But you can still succeed in the course even if there is one thing that you're not as good at. You can see the grading scale there, right? Fairly simple. One of the interesting things about the U of A, we don't do pluses and minuses here. And so it's a fairly big cutoff between like an 89 and a 90. So if you see yourself kind of moving towards those thresholds, really push yourself hard to do whatever you can to make it above that to get to kind of the next letter grade there. Okay, so the exams themselves, all right, these make up 25% of your entire grade for the class. There are going to be 2 of them. There's going to be a midterm on Friday, October 16th, and then there's going to be a final on Wednesday, December 9th. These are going to happen during the class period, okay? So if you go to your official schedule, you're going to see that there's an official final exam time that's built into the course, which is going to be the week after December 9th. Don't pay attention to that. Nothing's happening there. Don't show up anywhere for it. Nobody's going to be here. The exams are going to take place during class time, and they're also going to take place online, okay? So the way that this works is that on exam days, nobody show up to class. Everybody show up to your computer, and from 11 to 11:50 a.m. you're going to be able to log on to D2L. The quizzes are going to be, or the exams are going to be available under the kind of quizzes section of the course website, and then you're going to have 50 minutes to work through the quiz. Now the exams themselves are going to be made up of both multiple choice questions and essay questions. All right. Most of the content is going to be drawn from the lectures, and you're going to be able to use your notes on all of this. But this is why taking good notes is going to be so important here, all right? So let's say that whatever, you don't take very good notes, your notes stink, whatever, but you're I'll just look stuff up, kind of go back to the lectures on test day. You'll probably still do okay on the multiple choice, but it's going to take you so long to get through those that your essays are not going to be great. On the other hand, if you have well-organized notes, I think you're going to do very well on the multiple choice. You'll have plenty of time to write really good essays. And I think you're going to succeed on the exam overall. So again, most of the content's going to come from lectures. The kind of primary source readings are fair game, but when you start to study for those things, and we'll talk about this as we get closer, I'd like you to kind of allocate more of your time towards studying the content from the lectures. Okay, reading responses. These are another quarter of your grade. These are going to be due on a weekly basis. Not this week, so don't freak out. You don't have anything due on Friday this week. But starting next week, these are going to be due on a weekly basis at 11 a.m. All right. The requirements here, they are going to have to be 250 words long, and you got to make at least 2 references to the text itself. Okay. So it'll be a question something like, what can the hymn to Demeter tell us about the role of women in ancient Greece? Okay. And I want to see a creative answer from you that's supported with information from the texts. When you're doing these things, there's not some right answer I'm looking for, okay? I want you to think creatively. I want you to think critically. I want you to really engage with the texts. I want you to support your answers with evidence from the texts. But I'm not going to be sitting there reading these things my 20 years of studying classics, I certainly disagree with this. No, I want to see a creative answer. I want you to support your answer, but don't worry or don't freak out about having quote unquote the right analysis. Just make sure it's backed up with evidence. Okay, so you're going to have those throughout the semester, and that'll also take up 25% of your grade. Now, why don't we go ahead and do this? Go ahead and take like 2 or 3 minutes. What I'd like everybody to do is get on D2L, okay? And go ahead and click the Assignments tab at the top of the course website. So go ahead and sign on to D2L, click the Assignments tab, and then go ahead and click on Reading Response 2, and you're going to be able to see what the question is for next week. And you're going to be able to see what the requirements are for answering that question. So it's 11:20 now. I'm going to go ahead and give you 2 minutes until 11:23 to go check that out, and then I will start talking again. In the meantime, TAs, if there are any questions coming through the chat that I need to answer, go ahead and send me something directly. While you're doing this, there is a good question here about how the exams will actually work. You're going to put your answers directly into D2L, all right? So you don't need to like do this on a piece of paper and then like take a photo and submit it. It's going to be a online only kind of situation there, where you click the boxes multiple choice and then you go ahead and type your answer into the text box. And when you get to the essays, you're just going to be typing it into a text box when you get to that question on the test. And for the readings, yes. Okay, so one of the questions was about how are you guys actually going to get the readings? Yeah, I'm providing all of those. And so the way that's going to work is they're just going to be PDF files on D2L with the text itself. One of the beautiful things about working on texts that were written like 2,000 years ago, they're all in the public domain, right? So you can just have free access to all the texts. One of the things that's going to happen with that is that they can be a little bit difficult to understand simply because a lot of the public domain ones are written in like, 1890s English. And so if you're having trouble with that, go ahead and go to the library, go to the library website. You can frequently download a more recent version of the text. Any of those will do. I'll take, any English version you can find of the text is totally fine. But there will be at least one version available for free. Okay, other questions. Will exams still be open if our notes were taken on our laptop? Yeah, I mean, like you'll have to do something where you have like the exam on half the screen and your notes on half the screen. But your notes can come from anywhere, and just make sure that they're organized efficiently so that as you're going through the exam, you can use those. Particular citation style. Yep, MLA is fine. I actually care. We can talk a little bit more about this as we get to the reading responses themselves. I don't really care what citation style you use. What I care about is that you get in the habit of actually like citing your sources. If you do that, we're good, okay? Try to be consistent, and you want the person reading it to be able to kind of figure out where that information came from. But that's more important to me than using a particular style or two. Okay, so where exactly are the texts? The texts are going to live under kind of each Friday, all right? So the way that D2L is organized, if you go to content, you can start clicking through each module or each week, and that's broken down into Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the links to the assignment submission folders and the texts themselves are going to be found on the day that they're due, right? So they're due every Friday. Look on Friday, you'll see the text, you'll see the assignment submission folder, and you'll be able to get the question as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. There are other questions coming through. We will get to them eventually, or your specific TA can respond as well. That may work better just as we're going through these lectures. If you want to make sure that you're kind of sending it directly to the TA that's working with you, because when I'm lecturing here, it's hard for me to kind of both talk and keep an eye on the chat. So try doing that, and they'll get back to you the best they can. All right, where are we going from here? We're going to the research project, all right? So what's going to happen here? The research project, don't really pay attention to the proposal, the final digital project. It's still a little bit up in the air exactly what's going to happen with this, okay? And we're going to tell you more about it next week, all right? So I'm working with the TAs. It may end up being exactly like this. We may do something a little bit different. But what again is going to happen is that you're going to have something due at the end of the semester. You're going to be working on it over the course of the semester. And in really rough terms, this is like the part of the class where you get to take whatever your specific interest is, right? Whether that's like, the economics of religion, or whether it's something like gender in religion, or whether it's something like the weapons of the Olympian gods, whatever your specific interest is in mythology. And as that develops, you're going to have the opportunity to really dig into that. And we're working again on what the final version of that project's going to be. But in general, this is your opportunity to take what you really like, to dig into it, to find out what the ancient texts say about your topic, and then to present it in a really interesting and engaging way. And there are going to be a few kind of scaffolding assignments on the way to the project itself, right? So last year when I did it, it was like a research proposal, and then a final draft of that proposal, and then the project itself. It'll be something similar-ish this year. But when you take all those things together, the research project and its constituent components are going to amount to 25% of your total grade. So again, next week, we are going to talk, I'll give you the specifics of that next week. We'll let you know where the specific assignment sheets are, and you'll have all the information you need. And then each kind of part of Wednesday and each Friday, we'll be talking more about this and how to get you kind of from where you are now to an awesome version of that final project. Okay, so attendance. Everybody always loves attendance. The way that this is going to work for this class, all right, is that there's going to be a one-question quiz each day, okay? And except for like exams and stuff like that, exam days, we won't do it. But you're going to take this quiz, whether you're attending in person, if we ever get to that point, or online. The quiz is the same for everybody. It's only open from 11 a.m. to 11:50, so you got to do it within that time frame. And it's only a single question, okay? So you're going to do it on D2L. I'm going to give you the answer to that question in class. And you just go ahead and put that in, and you've got your attendance for the day. Now, I've mapped out the semester, and there's going to be 39 different days where this occurs. And we're also in a really strange time, right? Because, like, I don't know, everybody's getting, like, COVID, and you're sick and have to quarantine and whatever. The way that I'm dealing with that, all right, is that out of those 39 classes, you get 9 free absences, okay? That's like 25% of the whole semester. You can just miss, and you don't lose any points, okay? So like if you miss 10 classes, you'll get a 29 out of 30 for attendance, all right? Now, the corollary to that is that if, like, let's say you, I don't know, are not feeling well, okay? I don't need an email about it. My heart is with you. I want you to get better, but I don't need like an email like, oh, like I'm not feeling well today. I'm not going to make it to class. Cool, right? That's one of your freebies. Let's say that you are very hungover. Maybe that happens. I don't know. Again, I want you to feel better. Maybe you've learned a little bit of a life lesson there. Again, I don't need to hear about it. Don't come to class, catch up on notes later, watch the lecture later. It's one of your freebies. If you go beyond, right, if there is something really serious that impacts you beyond those kind of 9 freebies, get in touch with the Dean of Students. They are the kind of entity on campus who's there for you guys if something really traumatic and impactful happens. and they'll be able to work with you around that, all right? They're really well positioned to do that. But in general, with the attendance quizzes, they happen on D2L. They happen from 11 to 11:50. I'm going to give you the answer to the quiz somewhere in that 50 minutes. You go on, you put in the answer, you've got your attendance for today. Why don't we go ahead and test that, all right? So get back onto D2L, guys. I'll give you a few minutes here. And I want you to go to quizzes and go to quiz 0, all right? So quiz 0, this doesn't actually count for anything. If you've missed, for whatever reason it doesn't work, no big deal. This isn't attached to a grade today. But I want you to see how this thing's going to work. So go ahead, sign on to D2L, go to quizzes, quiz 0, choose blue, and you should get your credit for the day. Just to give you a sense, we'll be officially starting the attendance thing on Monday of next week, just because there's a lot of movement into and out of classes this first week. All right, so I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do that, and at 11:33 I'll start talking again. There's a question here in the chat too about kind of like how long you have. So I think the quizzes are only like 5 minutes long. You shouldn't even need the full 5 minutes. But the idea is you only start the quiz once like this slide goes up in each lecture, right? And then hopefully it doesn't take a full 5 minutes to go click the one answer. But again, the idea here is like if you're feeling sick throughout the semester, don't stress about it. The lectures are going to be online. You've got a lot of freebies here. The idea here is that this motivates you to stay engaged and come to class and participate in activities. But it's not so strict that you kind of freak out if you miss one day. All right, let's move on. So to summarize, right, there are 4 things that you get grades on, all right? So you get grades on your attendance, right? And so you can get 25% of your grade just by doing a not even that great of a job of showing up to class. That's pretty good. You can get 25% of your grade from doing the reading responses. Those things are very, very clear in terms of what we want you to do to get full credit on those. Again, the idea is not that you've like put together like, Shakespeare, like the greatest research, like 250 words ever. It's that you do a good job creatively answering the question, supporting it with evidence. You do that, you'll get your credit. You got 2 exams. They're both open note, right? You have the power to succeed on these. And then finally the project. And the project really is meant for you to be a really like enjoyable and intellectually fulfilling experience, right? When I look back at my undergrad, it was those few moments where I got the opportunity to really pursue what I love doing that were most memorable. And that's what we want for you guys here, to be able to find that thing that like you want to spend a lot of time researching, like even if you didn't get a grade for it. So you do those, you get half the grade for the class just by showing up and doing a mildly good job on your work. It's not that difficult. Just do your work, people. Just do it. I believe in you. You will all do well in this class. Okay, let's move on. So how this course is going to work. Okay, so for the first 2 weeks, this is kind of the meeting schedule. We have to stay flexible here. For the first 2 weeks, everybody's online for sure. Okay, so this week and next week, you don't need to be on campus for anything. Moving forward from there, we're going to be on the lookout from information from the president and from the provost talking about the kind of reentry plans. And if we do kind of scale to the point where a class of this size goes in person, what we're going to do is we're going to split into two groups here, okay? Half the group is going to attend on Mondays, half the group will attend on Wednesdays, and then Fridays, those two groups will alternate, all right? We will put you in groups once we get to that point, all right? We're not even worried about it right now. Once we get to that point, we'll let you know. And then the idea is that the other half of the group is going to attend, basically like I'll be live streaming on Zoom or, I don't know, Twitch or something like that. Somehow there will be live streaming that the people at home will get to watch that. And then finally, after Thanksgiving, and actually the week, I was planning this out, and like the week of Thanksgiving too, just, we're not doing in-person stuff. You guys are going to go watch this old movie, Jason and the Argonauts, which is like from the 1960s, and it's got like a lot of like claymation kind of stuff in there, and it's kind of, like at the time it was like a super epic movie, and you look back at it today and it's just kind of hilarious. Anyway, so the week of Thanksgiving and afterwards, we will not be in person anymore, we will just be online, so you guys can book flights and, you know, make sure that you keep that 11 to 12 time open, but you don't need to be in Tucson for that. Okay, so again, just like a gentle reminder here, right? Regardless of whether you're in person or watching online or whatever your day is or whatever your group is, keep this time available, right? So you're either going to be watching on the internet like this or you're going to be in person. If you're not feeling well, especially once we go in person, I mean, I guess if you're not feeling well now, like, it's not that hard. Just turn on Zoom, right? Like, listen anyway. It's not that bad. But when we go in person, all right, like, don't come to class if you're sick, right? You've got like many free absences, like almost a full month of free absences. So if you're not feeling well, stay home. I will post the lectures and the PowerPoints for you, so that you have access to all the materials from the class. Okay, again, in terms of making this thing function, check on D2L who your TA is. They are going to be your TA through the whole course, all right? And so if you have questions and you get your first reading response back and you're like, why does my grade suck, right? You know exactly who to contact, and you'll be working with them through the semester so that they can build you up to the point where you're writing really powerful responses there. If you're wondering who to contact, right? Like, oh, like, you know, I just had a great burrito and I want to tell the professor about it, but I don't know whether to tell the professor or the TA. You can go to D2L and there's like a chart that shows basically who to contact about what type of thing. And then in terms of assignments, everything's submitted on D2L, okay? So your quizzes on D2L, all the lectures are on D2L, your reading responses get submitted on D2L, the exams are on D2L, the final project and any of its components are going to be submitted on D2L. Everything is going to go there. So again, get familiar with the website, and when in doubt, that's where it goes. Okay, let's see. Where are we? All right. You'll get this slide again once we're actually in person. You guys can't talk now, so it doesn't really matter. But just a few things that are like very stressful from a professor's point of view. Again, this makes more sense when you're actually in a lecture hall. But the thing is that, like, you know, when you're sitting in a 500-person lecture hall and you're just like kind of talking to your neighbor like this, it's like, you know, you just assume that the professor can't hear you. And I can't really hear exactly what you're saying, but I can like kind of hear you guys. But I'm also trying to like form sentences and stuff. And it's just like my brain just collapses and I can't form the sentences and it falls apart. So when we get there, you know, try to not talk in class. Don't leave class early. That's another, oh man, there's always like a mass exodus after I put up the Heracles slide with what color Heracles is. And then you always get people in the back running out. Don't do that, it's disrespectful. I guess in a Zoom you can leave whenever and it doesn't really matter, I won't see you anyway, but we'll revisit this when we go in person. Some things, again, that we'll revisit, things that do make you wonderful. Participate. When we're doing interactive things, the more you participate, the better. One of the things that you'll find is even if you're not much of a participator, the more you force yourself to do so, the more you're going to become engaged in the class, and the better you're going to end up doing. be prepared, show up on time, engage with the materials and concepts beyond here, right? You're going to start seeing things out in the world that reminds you of classical mythology. Bring those to class and share them with us. Always the most important one, right? Like the reviews at the end of the class, that's a great way to become friends with the professor. Anyway, we'll revisit these again when we go in person. Honors contracts, I've gotten some emails about this. You guys can definitely do honors contracts for the course. I'm still working on developing these things, so I'm not exactly sure what it's going to be yet. It's going to be something standardized for everybody. But I'm thinking about that, and again, the idea is going to be something where we go a little bit kind of above and beyond what we're doing in the course, where you guys go out on your own and do something research-based or exploratory or outreach-focused, something along those lines. I will have more information for you this week. No, next week. I'm not committing to this week. Next week I will have more information for you. I promise. All right. So just hang tight there. You're gonna get your honors credit, and we'll go from there. Okay. Now, in terms of the actual content of the course, right? We're almost done with class 2, and we've learned nothing in terms of content. That will start on Friday, where we do an epic, like, several thousand years of history in one short class. And then weeks 2 through 7, everything before the midterm, we are focused on gods and goddesses of Olympus. Week 8 is going to be the midterm. Weeks 9 through 15, we are shifting from the divine realm of the gods and goddesses to the heroes and heroines of ancient Greece. And then that final week will be review, getting you ready for the exam. All right, so that's kind of our general overview for the class. All right, so for next time, what I want you to do, I'm going to put the link in D2L under Friday. Homework is always going to live on the day it's due, okay? I don't need you to submit anything for this, but I want you to watch it. It's a TED Talk that gives you basically a history of everything in 18 minutes. And the goal here is that this starts at basically the beginning of the universe and goes all the way up till now. And what it's going to do is it's going to give you kind of the background so that on Friday, when I start talking about the history of Greece and Rome, with the idea that this gives you kind of the context you need to understand the myths that we'll be talking about, you'll have the context you need to understand Greek and Roman history within the larger scope of kind of world and universal history. So that is it for now. Let's go ahead. Are there any questions, TAs, that you've seen come through the chats to you guys that we want to answer before we wrap it up here? Feel free to unmute and ask the question to me, and I can answer, or you can answer yourselves.
I did get one question asked if there are any free reading responses, like dropping the lowest score or something like that.
Nah, for this one, all of them are going to count. All right. One of the things that I didn't talk about today that may help with that is that I've tried to build in a really liberal late work policy here, and the way that that's going to work is that if you turn something in within 24 hours of the due date, you can get 90% of the grade. If you turn it in within a week, you can still get 70%. If you turn it in like 9 weeks late, you can still get 50% on this thing, okay? And the goal here is that, like, A, I want to encourage you to be responsible and do things on time, but B, like, this is for a lot of people your first semester on campus, and there's going to be a lot of different time commitments you have, and it's very difficult, at least at first, to start balancing those. So I don't want to ding people too hard there. So all the things are going to count, all right? But keep that kind of late work policy in mind, and work with your TA. We're going to give you a lot of feedback on things like the reading responses to make sure that, like, even if you struggle on the first one, you're going to be able to improve those pretty rapidly. All right, so I got another good question on attendance here, and we'll tackle this in more depth once we get closer to it. The question was basically like, once we go in person, if and when we go in person, and let's say that you're scheduled to be in person on Monday, right? And like you wake up and you've got like a fever and aches, and you're like, Oh man, is this the Rona? I don't know, right? First of all, go get yourself tested. Second of all, the question was like, can I just join on Zoom and get the attendance point for the day if I'm like not healthy enough to go to class, but like healthy enough to watch online? And the answer is yes, like absolutely, right? The attendance isn't separated out. It's always through D2L. So you can get the information, or you can get the attendance point either way there. Although I'd like you to come to class if you're feeling healthy. If you're not, stay home, watch online. Okay, one other question. Is the final project an essay, a presentation, something like that? It's not going to be an essay, all right? You're going to have some written things leading up to it so that we meet the general education requirements of the course. But the final thing itself is, I don't know what it's going to be yet, but it's not going to be an essay, all right? So it might be something like a documentary, it might be something like a graphic novel, it might be one of those like little like whiteboard animation type things, it might be a music video. Again, the TAs and I are going to talk through some of these ideas. But the final thing is going to be something that's like a little bit more oriented towards a public or popular audience, right? For somebody who isn't necessarily an academic. So you're going to have to write things that are a little bit academic along the way, but the final thing you do is going to be something that's more public oriented. Okay, so another question was about, okay, let's see what else we got. If you choose to go online for all the Zooms, can you choose to go online for all the Zooms regardless of your own health? If you're just worried about catching the Rona in a room full of 250 people. So here's my suggestion for this, right? You guys have the power to make the decisions yourselves. And I want you to make the decisions that are best for you. My feeling is that like if you're not going to be in Tucson, or you're feeling like there's just no way you want to be in person at all, my suggestion would be to like find an online only course, just because all the content is going to be delivered in that format, like specifically tailored for that. Again, there's nothing in this course that prevents you from doing that, right? So you can do all the attendance, you can do all the assignments just online. And I want you to make the decision that's best for you. So that's like my 2 cents on it. But you make the decision for yourself. And I think that as long as everybody has the freedom to make that decision, I think that's the best way forward. Okay, so a lot of good questions in the chat about nachos. Let's think about those over the course of the next 2 days. Watch the video for Friday, and then I promise I will deliver real actual content about ancient Greece and Rome on Friday. We're going to do like several thousand years of history in like 45 short minutes. So have a great couple days, guys, and I will see you then.